Welcome back to Rebuilding the Calgary Flames. This is episode 5, and it's time to start winning, specifically in the playoffs. We haven't been a very good team in the postseason. Although we have a pretty good team built, we brought in some really good players, probably the best defenseman in the league in Quinn Hughes. We have guys like Quinton, Byfield, Kirill, Marchenko's. Morgan Frost has progressed really well, and some rookies that we brought in through the draft. So it's time to put that all together. And the first thing we're going to do, it's time to make a coaching change. Ryan Huska's been great for us. He's done a really good job of building this team up, but it's time to let him go. He has a pretty good deal, 6 years left on the deal, but we're just not winning. We're losing the playoffs every single year and pretty early. So we're going to let Huska go and probably just get rid of the entire staff in the NHL right now and try and hire these guys back later on. So we're going to be looking for a whole NHL coaching staff as well as free agents as we advance today and get to the re-sign phase. We have about $8 million to spend in free agency this year, and starting with the re-sign period, we have a lot of guys locked up long-term, most of our core, if not all of our core. So Postles is really the only guy that we should bring back. Doan as well. These are two guys that are kind of fighting for the bottom of the lineup type positions. Now, Postles has been pretty good for us filling in. He's an 81, but Doan's just been a more consistent player for us. We'll take a look at what both of them want. We might just balance out with who wants less. So Doan wants $2 million. And Postol is going to want 2.8. I probably think Doan's the better option for us. Younger, a little bit cheaper, and 81 is not too bad. He's got a little bit of skill too. I don't think that's too bad. I'm going to go ahead and bump it down to maybe like a 1.9 just to try and save us a few bucks. And then I'll see what Postol wants to do if Doan doesn't re-sign. Other than that, Patchell is a 70 option for us. We definitely could bring him in just to fill that role. 2 years, 1.5. Again, not a bad contract for a guy of his age and his, overall. But we have Keishon Aitchison that I think is probably ready to step in that 7D role. Dutchkin's been a guy that we filled in throughout the lineup being a sniper, and I have liked what he's done so far. I don't know if he wants anything more than a two-way, and that's exactly what he wants. So I'll bring him back for that because that's a fine deal for us. We can use him just as depth scoring. And the rest of these guys are going to be AHL players besides Aitchison. Like I say, he's 77 overall. He's right on the cusp. He wants 2 years. I'd be interested in bringing him more like a 3-year deal and just bumping up the salary to like 9.5, and he should sign that. The other guys I'm going to come through here and just sign RFA statuses. Going to offer contracts to some of these players, but they're mostly going to be AHL players. Like I said, Aitchison's the only guy that I could see. But being a 77, maybe we want to give him 1 more year and bring Patchell back for around what he's looking for. 1.45 is going to go over to Patchell, and that will be the final offer that we send over right now. We'll send for it a couple days, see who signs, and if we need to circle back in, we can. The first guy back is Josh Jones. That's a pretty team-friendly deal. So does Patchell and Aitchison as well. So those are 3 guys that I've offered immediately. I'm going to come back in, clean this up, but we're going to get ready for the free agency period with $6.7 million to spend. Not a ton of money, but it's a little bit. We can definitely find a player that can help our team. Or potentially could start moving guys out if they're regressing, or if we just find a better deal for somebody that we like a little bit more. Take a look at all of our options in free agency. I also need to find a coach. That's going to be a huge deal as well. So we'll get through that. I'm going to clean this up, and then we'll see you there. Looking at the coaching options, I think obviously Rob Brindamore is the A-plus best coach here. But he's expensive. He's $7.3 million, and we just don't have the budget for him. I think our best option is actually going to be Rick Tocchet. He is A-plus offense, A-plus power play. He's a good coach overall. He's a teaching specialty of defenseman, and we need Parekh to improve. He's just been an 85, stuck there for a couple years now. The team fit isn't great right off the bat. We definitely need to make some improvements there. But I think he could really help improve Parekh and as our defense in general. We have a couple young prospects coming up. I think that might be the best move for us, and then try and bring in some offensive-minded assistant coaches to balance everything out. So I'm going to offer Rick Tocchet a big head coaching gig. It's going to be somewhere around $4 million for the next 3 years. That's going to be a lot of our budget, so we're going to get pretty stingy after that. But I think this is a hire that potentially could improve our defense and make us a better team overall, hopefully push us farther in the playoffs. And while Tocchet mulls over that contract, we're going to look at the free agency class. Jamie Drysdale headlines the class at an 89 overall, 27 years old. He has progressed really, really well in the game. Roslovic is still hanging around in an 89 as well, 32 years old. I think he definitely had a little bit of a boost playing on Edmonton in the sim. Definitely helped him keep his overall high. McGrody is here, 25 years old, 88 overall. Again, another player that's progressed really well. He is an RFA though, so he's probably off the table for us. A lot of these guys are going to be on the table with how much money they want. Laferriere, Cooley, Korchinski, Heineman has even progressed very well. He's an 87 overall. I think the Islanders would be very happy with the trade if they end up with an 87 overall Heineman. Donato at 87. Parekh is still hanging around too, 34 years old. At 7.95, he'd be a very good contract with how his overall is at, but I just don't think we need a defenseman right now. Marco Kasper's 25 years old. He is going to be an RFA as well, so he's probably out for us. But we do have a lot of assets to trade, so I wouldn't rule that out completely. And we are in the market for a backup goaltender after trading away Devin Levi. It looks like there's a lot of players in this low 80s range. I probably would just go for somebody like Samsonov in 81. Only wants $1.2 million. Save us a little bit of money there. The rest of these guys are just a little bit too expensive for my liking. So probably do a 1 year, $1.2 million for Samsonov. And he signs on immediately. So then we'll go ahead and take a look at the rest of the free agency. I think I'm prioritizing a center. It looks like Morgan Frost has kind of regressed a little bit. It would be nice to kind of bump him down and let the lineup kind of shake out that way. So I'm looking for a center in our price range, around $5 million, that can come in and play that role. And I'm just not seeing one right off the free agency. So taking a look at the contracts, I'll show you guys what I mean when I say that I think Morgan Frost has regressed a bit. It's going to be a 85 overall for Morgan Frost. He's 30 years old. He's come down in overall. $7.6 million is his contract hit right now. Last year of his deal, it might just be time to move on from Morgan Frost, unfortunately, who I really, really like, and he's been great on this team. But if he's regressing, last year of his deal, we're going to re-sign him. I guess I'll take a look at what he wants just to be completely safe here that he's not going to have a huge team-friendly deal for us. I mean, 5.7 is not a bad deal at all. He could bounce back and get up to an 86 or 87 once again and be a good player. He might be somebody we want to keep around. And going up to a 5-year and going up to 50% on the trade protection, we actually get Morgan Frost for like 5.2. I think that's a great deal for somebody like Frost. He's going to take a look at the extension. He does want one, so that's good. Hanze also needs an extension. Only wants 3.8, and I think he's getting better. We'll see what he says later on in the year, but a little bit of an upgrade for him. We need cheap guys. We don't need to be tying ourselves up with a bunch of money, so we probably need to be careful in this free agency class and not overspend. So maybe we're looking for a 1-year deal just to bring somebody in to be competitive right away. Skimming through the options here, and I kind of like the idea of bringing in somebody like a Furcus. He was on Seattle last year. We played him in the playoffs, and he was very good. Wants a 1-year, $4.2 million deal. He's only 25 years old, but he's a UFA. Sniper on the third line, could bring some more scoring down the lineup for us. So I'm going to get into a negotiation with him and see if maybe we can find a way to maybe offer a little bit more years, bring him in for a couple more years at a lower value contract. We'll see what we can get done. So Fergus is going to be a 3-year, $3.7 million deal. He has a 12-team no-trade clause on year number 3. We're really close to being on that top bar. Nobody else is interested in him, and he's pretty interested in us. I feel relatively confident we can bring him in, and he could be a pretty good option for us down the lineup to bring in some scoring. That's pretty much it for right now. There are some contracts that might sweeten up a little bit later on. Somebody like Nate Schmidt wouldn't be a bad option down our lineup in defense. I just don't know if we need another defender, but $2.6 million is pretty cheap. Somebody like a Farrell here, Sean Farrell, playmaker, 5'9", he's undersized. He is a UFA. Could bring him in. Somebody to replace Lysell if we wanted to move Lysell out for cheaper, but I like Lysell, and if we don't have to, we shouldn't make a move that we don't need to make right now. I want to see what Frost says first, and I want to see what Furcus says, and then I also want to see what our head coach says. So we're going to spend a couple days and get some answers on our contracts, and we'll circle back in. Morgan Frost is the first to sign, and a good team-friendly deal for Morgan Frost. Hopefully, he can get a little bit better and kind of bounce back from a little bit of a regression here, but only 30 years old, he definitely could. Furcus is going to accept it as well. Another good contract that I think can age pretty well for us, scoring down the lineup. And that's the only two for right now. Let's sim for another day. Rick Tocchet is going to decline. Now, potentially, we can kind of sweeten this deal a little bit and bring him in, but the salary is going to be a problem. We'll have to look at the head coaches once again. Tocchet is still the best coach on the market. We could go for somebody like John Hines. He's a veteran. We have a lot of young players, so I'm trying to avoid that. And then Zayne Parekh, not a bad coach either. He's got a little bit of low coach influence. I just don't think he's much better than Ryan Huska. I think Tocchet is the guy we really want to bring in. So I'm trying to sweeten the offer a little bit, see if that is enough to get him in. A small improvement on the salary cap front for us. Somebody like Seamus Casey. He's an 80 overall, two-way defender. He is a both sides, right and lefty. A little bit undersized, but at 25 years old, he potentially could progress a little bit. He's top 4 D potential. I'd like to bring him in on a longer term deal than 1 year. So I'm going to try and negotiate with him, but this will kind of let us ship out somebody like a Patchell, or I know, Villian is also going to need a contract coming up next year. I think he wanted like $4.5 million. So potentially this kind of frees him up for a trade. Maybe at the deadline if we want to make an improvement. It's going to be a 3-year, $1.9 million deal, a pretty hefty no-move clause in year number 3, but I don't think it's going to be much of a problem. I'm hoping he progresses at only 25 years old, and that, again, just gives us a little flexibility if he agrees to move out a defender at the trade deadline and free up a little bit of cap space. I think he probably makes right around what our 7D Patchell was. Yeah, it's a little bit over that, but I just see a lot more abilities and a lot more progression out of him than I do a 29-year-old 7D option. Again, Villian is going to need a contract. 2.3 right now. 4.2 is what he wants. That's really not too bad, but he's going to be a third-line defender. I don't know if we want to pay him that much money. And he potentially could have a little bit of value as well at only 26 years old. So, again, I think this just kind of opens up that ability to trade somebody like him. Or even, if it's Nikishin, we can. But he's making a pretty decent amount of money. 2.6, not too bad for a bottom-line defender. And again, pretty young, 27. He can make an improvement, especially if he's bringing on a head coach like Rick Tocchet. So I offered a contract to him again. We're going to go ahead and send him out a couple days, see what he says. That's really going to be the only signing of free agency that we do moving forward. We brought in a couple guys, re-signed a couple of our own guys, and we're just going to let it ride and see what we can do in this season. If we need to make some big moves, it will happen at the trade deadline. If we're not performing how we think we should, we could definitely see some huge moves. We have first-round draft picks. We have prospects. We could make a huge improvement. Maybe even if we're doing well this year, we might go ahead and just take a swing, see if we can't make it happen this year. Tocchet's going to decline again, so I'm going to have to go back in and up the offer a little bit more. We are slowly running out of money, and this is slowly becoming a kind of a dire situation for us. Huska's still on the market. We could bring him back, but I think we need a change. Parekh is still here. I like the idea of Adam Foote as well, but he's just not quite as good as somebody like Huska would have been for this team. And we already let him go. So I'm really going to push for Tocchet. I'm going to up the offer pretty significantly, maybe up to, $4.5 million. And then we'll be very tight on the rest of our coaches, associates, and assistants for the NHL. But we need a big voice in this locker room. We need somebody that can push us over the edge because we have not been able to perform yet. Seamus Casey's going to sign on again. I think that gives us a little bit of options to move guys out. And I like his game. So we'll go ahead and send him for a couple more days. And there is Tocchet. Huge contract for him, $4.5 million for 3 years. He's ready to make an impact, and we hope he can. I'm going to hire some assistant coaches. I might even look at the trade market right now for somebody like Patchell so that Casey can be our definitive 7D. And we'll see what all we can put together, and then we'll send forward to the beginning of the year, get year number 5 underway. Working on a Patchell trade. We have 2 fourth-round picks. I'm going to see if I can't get this up to a second-round pick. I'm not sure this is going to go through. Not quite. I would be interested in throwing in maybe a later round pick, like a 6th in 2032 maybe, and see if that's enough. Yeah, not quite. Patchell probably doesn't have a lot of value to get up to a 2. I might circle around and see maybe the Avalanche will give up a 2. They don't even have one. So I'll see if I can find anybody that will give up a 2. If not, I might just go for like a 3 with this package. Just too far off. Add in a 6th-round pick a couple years from now, and Dallas accepts that. So we have another 2nd-round pick, 1 first-round pick, 2 seconds, a 3rd, and a 4th. A lot of ammunition in the bag to make moves at the deadline if we want. Again, we have a lot of prospects too. A lot of options here, but let's go ahead and sim out to the first game of the season. Take a look at our team. Hopefully Rick Tocchet can make some big improvements over the offseason, and we can get into year number 5 with high hopes, looking to make a deep run in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Here are the lines for year number 5. Benson, Byfield, and Marchenko again on the first line. That's a +5. Benson's got up a little bit. Marchenko's up to an 89 as well. Pretty good first line. I like to see a little bit more scoring out of them this year. So we'll check in on that at the traded line. And if they're not performing, there could be some moves being made here to get a top line that's, performing better than they did last year. Second line of Coronado, Frost, and Malkin. Malkin actually went up to an 86 overall over the offseason. Really good progression out of him. He was an 83, I believe, before the season started. So that's good enough for me to be a second line left winger for us. Very well-rounded player. Frost is a bit concerning. Like I said, he went down a little bit in overall. He definitely could bounce back. He's got a couple X factors. I like Frost, and I'd like him even more if he was a third-line player for us, maybe replacing Lysell on that third line. Honzek and Furcus as well on the third. That is a pretty solid third line. Lysell's a playmaker. Furcus is a sniper. Honzik is a two-way forward, pretty well-rounded, very physically inclined. So tough line to play against if you have a guy that big in the middle. And I'm excited about what he can do. He needs a contract. We'll see what he wants, but I'm excited about what Honzik can do. He continues to progress really well. Fourth line of Foegele, Svechkov, and Eichel. Another really tough line to play against. Svechkov is a two-way forward. He's got some physicality to him, but he's more just really well-rounded and defensive-minded. Fogel's a power forward, a lot of physical abilities there. And then Eichel's a two-way forward as well. So a tough fourth line to play against defensively. I like the way the team's shaking up. Like I said, I think we could use an improvement on the second line center position. If we get another player that's in the 87, 88 range, this could be a formidable top six moving forward. Defensively, Hughes and Parekh on the first line, as it has been. Uyghur and Ball on the second line, again, as it has been. And then Nikishin and Villain on the third line. Could be the final year for Tobias Villain. I mean, he is a little bit more expensive. He needs a contract, and we have guys that can come in and fill that role. Somebody like a Seamus Casey can come in, only 25 years old, and then Josh Doan is here as well. The interesting part about what we have going on this year is actually at the AHL level. Malatesta, Gushkin as well could come up. Tuamala could come up. I mean, Klapka's a 79. He could definitely be an impact. So these are guys that can come up and play in the NHL. Gives us a little bit of options to move people around. And then Kayshawn Aitchison's an 80 overall. He's ready for the NHL. It's probably just time to make a move. Either one or two of these defensemen, the bottom line, Nikishin and Villain, they're making a little bit of money. We could probably clear that out and maybe find ourselves a good second line center to bring in with that salary cap space and with their trade value. So that's what I'll be looking at the trade deadline. Right now, I do want to look at contracts before we get started. So like I said, Malkin needs a contract. He probably is going to be relatively expensive. So 7.75 is pretty high for an 86 overall who really hasn't done much yet. I'll let him roll for the rest of the year. He is an RFA, so we could potentially tag him as an RFA next year, qualify him, see what happens. Foegele, I don't think is going to come back. He wants $10 million. That is not happening. So we'll see what he wants at the end of the year, but he's probably a trade piece, or just let him ride out. He's an 85 on the bottom, 3-4 lines for us. That's not bad to have. And then Honzik is a guy I'm really interested in extending. 1 year, $5.7 million. I'd like to get a little bit more. He's the end of an RFA just this 1 year, so he probably just wants to clear that out. Again, he's an RFA, so we could just qualify him next year. I'm not needing to sign that immediately. Lysell needs a contract. 5.2 for Lysell. All these guys just want 1 year deals. I'd like a little bit more security. We'll see what they want later on. Svechkov wants 2 years at 2.2, and I like Svechkov a lot on the bottom line. We got 13.6. I like to bring it down to like $2 million exactly. They maybe do something like a modified no trade clause and see if we can get him to agree to something like this. I think that's fine. Then we've talked about needing a contract extension. 4.3 is not bad. 82 overall for a 26-year-old. I think we have guys coming up beneath him that could fill that role just fine. Nikishin as well being 2.6. I just don't want to pay somebody more than that. So 4.3 is just too much for me right now with Kayshawn Aitchison coming up behind him. So now we're going to send forward to the trade deadline. I'll jump in to let you guys know if Svechkov accepts our offer. Other than that, though, we're going to see how this team is doing. And again, big changes could be in store if we're doing poorly at the trade deadline. Either way, I think we're going to look for an improvement on the second line. We have first-round picks. We have plenty of prospects. We have some guys we could trade out. Svechkov is back. A 2-year, $2 million deal for him. Somebody who is very good on their bottom line. Happy about that. That's going to be it for now. Let's go ahead and go to the trade deadline. Jumping at the end of November to show you guys that we are 18-1-1 to start out the year. An unreal start to the season. Unfortunately, the Oilers are also having an insane 18-3 start to their season. So the Flames and the Oilers, Battle of Alberta, and these guys are absolutely dominating the league right now. Stopped at the end of December just to set up the scouting and everything. Just had to look at the contracts, and it looks like Honzik has come down to about 2 years, $3.75 million. I think we can make this work. I'm going to go ahead and go into a negotiation and see if we can't, agree upon a 2-3 year deal. This is a really good value for us if we can get this done, because I think he's just going to continue to get better. So we're going to send a 2-year, $3.275 over to Honzik. Hopefully he agrees upon that. We'll take a look at Lysell because he's really coming into his own. 3-year, 3.6. I'm going to do the same thing and just jump into a negotiation with Lysell. I think that's pretty fair value for a third line guy he's doing pretty well for us. He's racking up the points right now. The line's going great. See if I can't lock in that third line pretty cheap between him and Honzik. So Lysel's deal is going to be even better, a 3-year, $3 million deal, 16-team no trade clause for him. Gonna send that over. They're both going to take a look at it. Take one more look at the rest of these contracts to see what they look like. Nothing has changed there. Let's see if there is a difference on Fogle wanted like 10 million up here. If we take a look at him, he wants 7.3, still just out of my price range. And Malkin still wants 7.3. I think we'll wait on him since he is an RFA at the end of this year. And he really hasn't done a whole lot yet in his career. So those are two contracts. I'm going to send out a couple days now and to see if those guys agree to it. And if they do, two really good contracts at this time of the year. Hanzik accepts, so that's one down. And so does Lysel. So the third line is locked up, very young, very talented, and getting better. So Lysel is only 26 years old, Hanzik's only 25, and Fergus is also only 25. All three of these guys signed for 3 years, 2 years after this. So very happy with that. I think this is going to be really good for us, locking down that depth. Now we can continue forward to the trade deadline. Again, we are doing very, very well. We are right now 28-6-1. So a great year so far. Let's go to the trade deadline and see if we can improve this team a little bit more. At the trade deadline this year, and we are 44-10-6, firmly atop our division. 94 points, the Oilers in second at 86, and the Knights at 75. It's been a bit of a tight race between 1 and 2, but we pulled away here recently. It looks like there's another really good team in the league. The Lightning are at 92 points, so we're not the clear-cut best team, but we are at the very top of the league right now in terms of standings. Going to take a look one more time at the contracts just to be sure there's not anybody that we can sign for a good deal. And then we're going to hop in to the trade deadline, see if we can't make this team a little bit better. You know, with the record that we have, I think it's time for us to go all in, make a huge push. Something to be mindful of, though, is that we played very well this year. We're third in goals for, we're fourth in goals against. I don't know if we want to mess with this team too much, but we need to find a way to get a little bit better. Frost is coming up. He's an 86, so he's rebounding a little bit on a pretty good year. Probably still want to find somebody with a second line if we can, but we don't have to. I like the way the third line's playing. They're doing really, really well right now. Fogel's an 85 on the fourth line, probably wasting a little bit here, but I mean, not bad depth to have. Defense, Parekh up to an 86. He's improving a tiny bit. Uyghur's gone down a smidge, and Ball at 84. This might be our point right here. Somebody in the top 4, maybe moving out. Somebody like a Kevin Ball. As much as I've liked having him on the team, he's $5.3 million for an 84 overall player is a little steep. And then 86 overall for Mackenzie Uyghur. He's getting older. 36. He's making 6.2. It might be time to make an upgrade for one of these guys just to try and make this second line a little bit better. Trying to find somebody like an 88 overall player. And that is pretty much going to be it for the trade deadline. We'll take a look and see what we have, but we have ammunition to get better. We'll see what's available. So here's our first deal. It's going to be Villain. He's just not going to be re-signed by us. He's too expensive next year. So I'm going to need to get rid of him now. And then Fitzpatrick's a prospect over to the Chicago Blackhawks for Brett Pesce. Pesce's an 86. He would fit really well on the second line if we want to do that. Or the third line. Depends on how Kevin Ball fits there as well. Fits on all defensive pairing. He's got an X factor. I think that's really good. We're trying to get a 6th round pick as well. I'm not sure we'll get that 6th round pick. But they accept it. So I think that's a pretty good trade for us to make a move right now. We knew we weren't going to be able to re-sign him. And Pesce was on a 1-year deal. So we're going to go ahead and change out the rosters, get everything rolling, and then we'll jump back in to the trades. So here's the trade we're trying to put together, and it's pretty big. It's going to be the Winnipeg Jets giving us Brad Lambert. He's an 88 overall, 26-year-old, second line forward, two-way forward. So I'm trying to swap him out with Pavel Malkin. Now I know Malkin is very good, 86 overall, and he's just getting better, only 21 years old, so he's 5 years younger than Lambert. However, his contract next year is up. He's going to be expensive, and we're in a bit of a hole right now trying to make it work. So it might be better just to ship him out, take this time to get a player who's really good and very cheap, $2.5 million for Brad Lambert. Sending over Josh Doan as well, just a little bit of cap dump, 1.9 for a, he's a depth forward for us right now. So we can bring in a guy from the AHL to fill that role. And then 2 second-round picks. Might even try and get them to retain just a smidge. Why not? And see if we can't save a little bit of money here. They're willing to accept it, but they want to retain, so I'm going to take the retention off. I'm actually going to drop one of the second-round picks off, too, and see what they say about that. And not quite, just a bit low, though, so we actually don't need to do 2 second-round picks. We can just do maybe a 7th at some point. Let's see what we got one. I will just do a 6th-round pick this year, and that should be good enough to get this deal done. So Lambert slots in on the second line, probably plays winger for us right now. So it's Lambert, Frost, and Coronado. Just a little bit of upgrade there. And again, the cap savings are crazy with that. Benson's hurt, but our top line is going to look really good once he's back. Top six is going to look great. I think the third line's good. Fourth line is great as well. This is a team that I think is ready to compete. Here's the defense. Hughes and Parekh, Uyghur and Pesce, Ball and Nikishin. I think also very, very good here. So I think we're ready to go. Might look for one more piece, and that's a backup goaltender, just because right now, if we have any injuries to Dustin Wolf like we did last year, we're kind of dead in the water with Samsonov being an 81. So that's where my improvement will be. That's going to be it. I might show that if it's a big enough deal, but if not, we'll just sim forward to the end of the year. At the end of the year, we ended up 59, 15, and 8. We finished 3rd in goals for and against, 8th in power play, 5th in penalty kill. I mean, we just had a fantastic year across the board. Take a look at the standings to see where we finished. First in the division by a pretty good margin. Oilers in 2nd, Canucks in 3rd, and then the Knights in 4th were in the wild card. Look at the entire league. We did win the President's Trophy, our first year at the top of the league. The Lightning were at 116 at 2nd place, Oilers at 115, Rangers at 107, and Senators at 106. Quinn Hughes led our team again with 76 points in 82 games, so nobody over a point per game, but a extremely balanced attack. Coronado put up 68, 40 goals, 28 assists in the second line. Great year out of him. Quinn Byfield put up 67, 22 goals, 45 assists. Marchenko put up 66. Benson put up 65. So, I mean, all of these guys are top-line players. Coronado's on the second line, but these are really, really good players. And finally, the big boys showed up a little bit more than they did last year. Again, nobody over a point per game, but you can see how many people we had over 50 points. Goes all the way down to Parekh, put up 52. A great season out of Zayne Parekh. Honzik put up 45. Fergus put up 44. Let's take a look at the goal leaders now. It was Coronado with 40. Marchenko put up 35. Quinn Hughes put up 22 goals. A great year out of him. Benson put up 22. Byfield put up 22. Honzik put up 22. I mean, Honzik just continues to outperform every expectation I had for him. He has been a really good player for us. Lambert put up 18. A lot of those are probably on the Jets, but he did come out here and put up 64 points in 81 games. Fergus put up 18, and Lysell put up 16. Looking at our goalies, Dustin Wolf put up a 914 and a 263. A pretty good year out of him. 7 shutouts and 54 wins. I would imagine he's your winningest goalie in the league. And then we traded for Jet Greaves. He put up 3 wins, 10 losses. Not a lot of that was for us. He probably only played a couple games for us. And an 870, 343. Not a great year as the backup for Jet Greaves. Look at the entire league. It's going to be Leon Draisaitl for 122 points. Will be your points leader this year. 58 goals, 64 assists. Matthews put up 119 with 62 goals and 57 assists. McDavid 119 right behind him, 42 goals and 77 assists. Nylander put up 117, 37 goals, 80 assists. And Nikita Kucherov 107 and 61 goals, 46 assists will round out the top 5. It was a pretty good year of scoring around the league. 62 goals for Austin Matthews is going to lead the league. He's going to take home the Rocket Richard this year. Kucherov put up 61, Draisaitl 58, Kaprizov 54, and Kyle Connor once again. I mean, he's scoring a ton for Seattle. Put up 85 points. 52 of those were goals. Dustin Wolf was your winningest goalie this year with 54 wins, a 914 and a 263. Not a bad year at all. Shesterkin put up a 918 and a 246 with 42 wins. Hellebuck put up 920 and a 264. He's probably your favorite for the Vezina this year. 38 wins out of him. Justin Wall put up a 905 and a 310. And then Sorokin runs the top 5 and wins a 912 and a 282. Sorokin did put up 8 shutouts to lead the league, and then Wolf and Hellebuck tied with 7, and a couple guys with 6 and 5 below them. So this year's first round matchup is going to be the St. Louis Blues. We'll do what we always do, and that's sim out the first 3 games, see where we end up. Hopefully, we can make a deeper run this year. We were the best team in the league. We definitely should make it further than the first or second round like we have every year of the rebuild so far. Game 1 is a shutout 4-0 win for us, and then an overtime win in game number 2. So a great start to the series. An overtime loss in game 3 will put the Blues right back into it. Can we take a 3-1 lead in game 4 to take commanding lead of the series? Kevin Ball's been injured. I'll just let the computer handle that. And we did win 5-2, so a 3-1 series lead here in the first round once again. Looking to close this one out. Last year, the Kraken pushed us to 7 after a 3-1 lead. Eichel is going to be injured as well. I'm going to go ahead and jump in and at the lines here and just make sure we get the right guys in. An overtime loss in Game 5 is going to push the Blues for a game number 6. Hoping to close this one out. Again, not trying to go to Game 7, and we do win in overtime. Let's sim out a couple days and see who we face in round number 2. The battle for Alberta is back in round number 2. Once again, last year we were swept by these Oilers in round 2. Looking to change that this year. Gonna sim out 3 games as always. Game 1 is a 4-0 loss. Eichel is back, so I'm gonna go ahead and slip him back in. So after subbing Eichel back in, we end up losing in overtime in game number 2. That's 2 games, 2 losses, the same result as last year. Gonna look to sim out game number 3, and hopefully we can get this one back before it gets out of hand and we get swept once again. A 5-4 win in game number 3. Let's go ahead and sim out game 4 as well. An overtime win in game number 4 will give us back-to-back wins to bring the series even. That's huge for us going into game number 5. Let's see if we can't take a 3-2 series lead here. A 4-3 win in overtime in game number 5 is going to put us on the brink of eliminating the Oilers. We're going to go ahead and sim out game number 6, see if we can't watch us win this game, close out round 2, move on to round 3. This has been a hard team to beat. The Oilers are very good. Obviously, they have 2 of the best players in the world on their team, so it would be a huge accomplishment to close them out in 6. We'll see if we can do that in a sim. Underway in game 6, and McDavid's going to get a goal right away. 2 minutes into the game, and he puts one on the board, and then Alex Killorn's going to double up the lead. 2 very quick goals here. They came out with a purpose in this game. So far, shots are pretty even, though. 5 shots for Edmonton, 4 shots for us. We just haven't gotten on the board the way they have. Gonna look to get 2 goals back here pretty soon. Hopefully, we can get this one under control. If not, around the 10-minute mark in this game, if we're within a goal or 2, I might jump in and try and close this one out for us. Honzek is going to get a goal back for us, but Draisaitl will answer right away. Less than a minute after that, they're going to put their lead back to 2 as we end the first period 3-1. Underway in the second period, and Edmonton's going to have a quick power play. Honzek is going to score right after, though. Honzek is putting on an absolute performance here in game number 6, trying to keep us alive, trying to keep us in control of the series, as Borzol is going to put one on the board for Edmonton, getting their lead back up to 2. Kaliev right after that's going to get their lead up to 3, the biggest lead of the game so far for them. And this game is quickly getting away from us. We need to get a couple goals back here pretty soon. As we're at the end of the second period now, shots are pretty even, 23-25 so far. Edmonton's leading by 2. They are leading by 3 goals on the scoreboard though, so that's obviously the bigger number. Let's see if we can't get one back. Edmonton's going to get a power play about 13 minutes in, and McDavid will put another goal on the board for them. Marchenko's going to answer, but we still have to make up 3 more goals. Nearing the 10-minute mark, I just don't think it's worth to jump in. We're going to go ahead and let this one ride out and see if it's a game 7. Final score ended up being 3-7. That Draisaitl goal at the very end was the last one of the game, but not a good performance out of us in game 6. Going to go into game 7 now. They definitely have a little bit of momentum, but hopefully we can close this one out. And we'll do another sim, obviously, because this is a huge game, probably the biggest game of the rebuild so far. We are underway, and Honzek gets a goal early on in this. We're flipping the script a little bit. Honzek with the early goal. Last goal, Edmonton put 2 up quick on us. But that's a pretty early goal. 2 minutes into the game. Gives us a great shot of momentum. And we have 12 shots to their 3 right now. So we've come out absolutely flying here in the first period. A power play. This would be a huge goal for us to get. But Edmonton's going to kill it off. So a good kill from them. We've seen that throughout the rebuilds that I've done. A lot of good penalty killing in the playoffs typically. Edmonton's starting to catch up a little bit on the shots here. It's 8-17 now, so we're still doubling up their shots. But they got a few there. At the end of the first period, we have the only goal on the board. We'll go ahead and get the second period underway. At the 11-minute mark, Sredov's going to get a goal for us, doubling our lead. 2-0. Edmonton still getting shut out by Dustin Wolf as we near the 5-minute mark in the second period. And Lambert, the trade acquisition, is going to get a goal right at the end of the second period with 40 seconds left. So that puts us up by 3. A great performance so far through 2 periods for us. We need to close this one out. But 3 goals is definitely a great lead to have in Game 7. Edmonton did bring the shots up a little bit, 21-28, so they closed the gap. But we got 2 goals on the board there in the second period. And Marchenko's going to get one early in the third period, less than a minute in, to put us up by 4. We got to be feeling great right now. Edmonton does have a power play. We don't want to let him back into it, and we'll kill that one off. Kreider will get an even strength goal to put them on the board. That spoils the shutout bid, but still 3 goals up now with about 11 minutes left to go in the game. A power play with 9 minutes left to go. This would be a dagger if we can get one, but we can't. Another good penalty by Edmonton, but we're nearing the 5-minute mark. Shots have really evened out now, 34-36. Edmonton on the power play, looking to make it a game, but we will kill that one off as well. Nearing the 2-minute mark, Edmonton's going to take the lead in shots. They're trying everything they can, but they aren't going to get enough past Dustin Wolf. And we will take the series. Round 2 goes to the Flames. And in the Western Conference Finals, we are going to be matched up against the Winnipeg Jets. We're going to go ahead and sum out the first 3 games, see how we fare. First game was a 3-0 loss, a shutout for Connor Hellebuck, but then a 4-3 win in Game 2 and a 3-1 win in Game 3 will give us a 2-1 series lead. Going to sum out Game 4. Would be great to take another one here, and we're going to be up 3-1 on the Winnipeg Jets. Looking to close this one out. I won't sim this one, and we're going to do it. The Stanley Cup Finals, it's going to be a Canadian Stanley Cup Finals. It's the Ottawa Senators. We've had a great run so far. We're going to go ahead and sum out the first 3 games, as we do with every playoff series. See where we end up after that. Brad Lambert's going to pull his groin. That's a big blow for us. We're going to go ahead and jump in and see if we can't replace him. Game 1 is an 8-2 win. Game 2 was a 4-2 win. And Game 3 is a 3-2 loss. So we have a 2-1 series lead in the Stanley Cup Final. Going to go ahead and sim out Game 4, see if Ottawa ties this one up. Brad Lambert will return for this game. That's huge for us. So I'm going to go ahead and put him back in the lineup. Simming out Game 4, and it's a 4-0 loss, a shutout victory for the Ottawa Senators to tie this one back up. Game 5 will be the last game that we just do a sim through, and the rest of them we'll watch. We're going to see if we can take a lead going into Game 6, and Ottawa will win the game. They won 3 in a row to push us now on the brink of elimination. Let's go ahead and send this game out, see where we end up. Hopefully, we can push a Game 7 here. Underway in Game 6. So far, no shots on goal. The first one comes almost 2 minutes into the game. Ottawa will get a goal about the 14-minute mark in the first period, so they get one on Dustin Wolf pretty early here. Still only a one-shot game as we near the middle of the first period. Now a power play for the Ottawa Senators. This would be a huge goal for them to double up their lead, but we kill it off. As we're under the 5-minute mark now, shots are 9-8, and Brady Tkachuk will get his first of the game, second for Ottawa. That doubles up their lead. And then Jim Eichel, our draft pick from 2 years ago, is going to get an in-tight goal. That'll put us on the board. It's 1-2 after the first period. Started out slow, picked up at the end. Let's get the second period underway. Zach Benson will tie it up on a shot at 14-16. That's 2-2 now. It looks like a pretty tight angle shot from the end of the circle. And then Kevin Ball, he's going to get one near the blue line. It's going to go through Demko, and now we have a lead. We also have a power play, so it'd be huge for us to double up our lead, but Ottawa will kill that one off. We've always seen good penalty killing in the playoffs as we're under the 5-minute mark now in the second period. Warren Foegele is going to get one. Some good depth players for us so far. Foegele on the 4th line, Ball on our 3rd line. I believe it was Eichel on the 4th line as well. As the end of the second period, we are up by 2 goals, and we should be on the power play as we go into the third. Mackenzie Weegar is going to get a shorthanded goal on the Ottawa power play to put us up by 3. 5-2 is the lead as Ottawa is carrying away the shots right now, 28-22, and Hanzik is going to get one. So that is a lot of goals from depth pieces in our lineup so far. We've had 2 from the 4th line, 1 from the 3rd line. Score is 6-2 as we are under the 5-minute mark in the third period. Safe to say this one is going to go to 7 games in the Stanley Cup Final. We'll go ahead and let this one roll out, but it should be your final. The final was 6-2, a really great performance out of us in Game 6 to get some momentum going into Game 7. Of course, we're going to sim this one as well. Here we are, underway, Game 7, an early power play for us. It'd be huge to get a goal on the board early. They will kill it off. We do have 4 shots to their 1 at about 15 minutes left to go, but the biggest game of the rebuild so far. Power play for the Ottawa Senators, and we killed that one off as well. Again, more great penalty killing from both sides here in the playoffs. Under the 5-minute mark, and it's kind of looking a little bit like the Edmonton Game 7, but Crystal is going to get a power play goal, just as I talked about the penalty killing, but we were up 10-2 in shots at one point in this period. But at the end of the first period, we're tied. Marchenko puts up on the board at 55 seconds left to go in the first period. 1-1 is your score after 1. A power play goal by Ridley Greig is going to put the Ottawa Senators up by 1. Again, the penalty kill. It looks like Jet Greaves is in net as well. Potentially, Dustin Wolf could have gotten injured. That's our backup goalie, so that would be huge. Drake Batherson's going to get one as well. And now a power play for Ottawa. They could really run away with this right now if they put one in, but we do kill it off. Down by 2 goals still. Our backup goalie in net. This is going to be a tough comeback to put together, but it would be legendary if we did. Under 5 minutes now. We do have the advantage in shots. 23 shots to their 16. The score is 3-1 after 2. If we're still down by a couple goals at the 10-minute mark, I'll go ahead and jump in and see if we can't steal this game in Game 7. 27-20 is the shots, but down 2 goals. And Ridley Greig is going to get a goal at 11:51 on Jet Greaves. It's looking like this is going to be the end of the run for us here in Game 7. We're going to lose to the Ottawa Senators as we're down 3 goals. We did put up 30 shots, but just not enough offensive output to compete especially when we have a backup goalie in net with Jet Greaves. And that will be your final, a heartbreaking loss in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. Looks like Brett Pesce was injured during the game. We'll see if maybe Dustin Wolf was injured as well. Take a look at the injury report real quick and see what his status was. It doesn't show Dustin Wolf was injured. Let's take a look and see if maybe he has something going on. Nope, I'm not sure what was happening. I don't know why Jet Greaves was in net. Maybe he got injured in the game, but he was fine. Either way, that is a heartbreaking loss in Game 7. We're going to go ahead and continue the series for one more year. We'll get the draft underway in that episode since it will be no draft at the end of that one. This was a pretty long one with all the playoffs and the, the simming and all that. Taking a look at our playoffs, Zach Benson put up 25 points in 25 games, a point per game out of him. A really good playoffs, 8 goals, 17 assists. Quinn Hughes put up 23 and 25, only 2 goals but 21 assists. Marchenko put up 21, Byfield 19, and Coronado was 18, rounded in the top 5. For goals, Marchenko led our team and Coronado right behind him. So the two snipers that I really wanted to have good years this year in terms of scoring goals, they both led our team with 10 and 11. Benson put up 8. Lambert, the trade acquisition at the trade deadline, put up 7, 14 points for him, not a bad postseason, and then Byfield with 6, rounds out our top 5. Dustin Wolf did his thing, a 914 and a 251, 15 wins, so he definitely had a good performance. Only one shutout, but not bad. Got us to the Stanley Cup Finals, got us to a Game 7, and then Jet Greaves came in. He played one game, an 884 and a 482, so I mentioned it before. It definitely came out to haunt us a little bit in the postseason. A backup goalie came in. So that's 2 playoffs in a row that Dustin Wolf has missed time. Last year, it was the entire playoffs. This year, only one game, but that one game was the most important one, and it might have cost us. For the entire league, Brady Tkachuk was the playoff leader in points, 32 in 21 games. We definitely saw him making plays in that Game 7. Batherson put up 30 in 21. Ridley Greig put up 28 in 21. And then Benson was 25 in 25, with Quinn Hughes running at the top 5, 23 points in 25 games. I would think Brady Tkachuk is your Conn Smythe winner this year. Tkachuk was far and away the goal leader as well, 16 goals. Marchenko had 11. McDavid had 10 goals in only 11 games. It was 10 goals for Coronado and then 9 for Ridley Greig. 34-year-old Thatcher Demko was your Stanley Cup winning goalie, put up 16 wins, a 921 and a 289. That is a great performance out of Thatcher Demko. Dustin Wolf was the second leading in wins, a 914 and a 251. Hellebuyck put up a 917 and a 282. Sorokin a 916 and a 266. And then Jonas Johansson, put up a 924 and a 242. In terms of shutout leaders, Sorokin's the only one that put up multiple with 2. A bunch of guys tied with 1. Draisaitl will take home the Art Ross Trophy and the Hart, so McDavid and Draisaitl just alternating, winning the Hart and the Art Ross. It's going to be Quinn Hughes with the Norris. Once again, that's 2 years in a row for the Flames defenseman. Lady Byng goes to Austin Matthews for the 2nd year in a row. Valaket is going to win the Calder. Conn Smythe will go to Brady Tkachuk as we expected. Vezina is going to go to Igor Shesterkin for the 2nd year in a row. Jennings also to Shesterkin for the 2nd year in a row. Masterson is going to go to Yakimchuk in Ottawa. Franson's going to win the Jack Adams in St. Louis. Selke's going to go to Fantilli. And the Ted Lindsay is going to go to Draisaitl, with Rocket Richard going to Matthews. So that's going to do it for this episode. We're going to do one more season. We're going to go ahead and take care of the draft on that episode since this has been a little bit of a long one with all the playoffs and the simming. And we'll go ahead and just take care of that since we won't have a draft after the next season. That will be the last season of the rebuild, so we're really going to push our chips in and go for the Stanley Cup. If you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe so you can find all my hockey rebuilds just like this one on my channel. As always, I appreciate all the support, and I'll catch you guys next time.